What's up guys, macadii here, and today guys, a brand new episode of our checks and counters series. What we're going to be doing is having a look at Toxapex, having a look at sort of the current meta sort of sets and things like that, and then we're going to be going into some of my favourite checks and counters to be able to deal with it, because it's one of those ones lots and lots of people have been complaining about, like a whole ton, because the problem is, if you don't have a good way to answer for it, it's just fat, it has regenerator, it's very, very difficult to break, and it just literally wears down teams and makes them very, very hard to break through. So what makes it so scary? The main reason it's so scary is you look at those defenses. I know the 50 HP is pretty lackluster, but the 152 in defense, 142 in SPDF is absolutely bonkers. And on top of that as well, it gets regenerator, which is just crazy. So every time it switches out, it just gets 30% of HP back up again. And so it doesn't really care about rocks that much. Like, even if rocks are even, if rocks are on the field, it's still getting 18% back. Black Sludge allows it to have recovery. Sometimes they run a Rocky Helmet, so that's definitely something to watch out to for from there. In terms of the Eevee Spread, this is the best one that I've seen so far. And basically this spread makes it very physically bulky, but it also allows it to avoid a free KO from, from Greninja's Life Orb Dark Pulse. So just basically very bulky on both sides. So luckily, there's, a few different counters to it, which is going to be very nice. In terms of the moveset, it's a little bit constrained. It has to run Haze, basically, because there's a lot of things that can set up on it. Lots of things that set up free subs, so it's got to watch out for that. It normally runs Toxic Spikes, or it runs that funny Protect thing that causes you to get poisoned if you touch it. Or they can run Toxic themselves, but most of the time I've seen this set with Scald, they always run Recover, they almost always run Scald, and then they run the Toxic Spikes from there as well. So there are 5 main Pokemon that I've used quite a lot, and I really like as ways to be able to check this set. So in order from sort of very good counters all the way down to sort of, pretty good checks and stuff like that. So luckily there are quite a few within the metagame, but you have to just be careful. You must make sure you keep them alive until Toxapex is dead, because if you go out, sack all of your answers to Toxapex, then you're going to lose. So it's just smart playing, think long term, and make sure that you don't lose these Pokemon. So the first one is Latios, because Latios is a very nice one because it can switch in basically for free on Toxapex. It doesn't care too much about Scald, even if it gets burns. It's only 6% now, it's not 12%, so that makes a lot of difference. It's immune to the Toxic Spike, so it won't get toxic. Haze doesn't matter, so basically every time it Toxapex is out, Latios comes out for free. Psyshock is going to be really, really punishing, and if you've got Roost, then you're pretty much good to go in every single time. Even with Defog, you don't take that much from a Scald, so you can actually freely come in, but you just have to make sure your Latios doesn't get worn down too much from there. As I said, you resist the Scald. If it's got the spiky shield thing, it doesn't, it doesn't make a difference, and you can then just basically fire off free Psyshocks from there. So it's very, very nice, and it just basically is just a very, very solid, I would argue currently the best counter to be able to work for Toxapex. You obviously have to worry, because Toxapex is not always alone when it comes to being a bulky wall. There's normally something else that comes along that's still going to be able to take on those Psyshocks. You might have to do a bit of predicting, but being able to come in for free every time is always great. Next up, we've got my favourite answer, my absolute favourite answer, because I have not seen Sludge Bomb on them in a very, very long time. So Tapu Lele is a free switch, and very few teams have a switch in to a Choice Spec Psyshock, which is absolutely beautiful. And, like, for example, Latios. If you think Latios is a switch-in, it is not a switch-in, because this thing does 75% to Latios on this, as it comes in, which is just absolutely crazy. You can't Roost stall it out. There's literally nothing you can do, and it's just going to click 2 Psyshocks and kill you. So that's very, very nice. And basically, you just click Psyshock, and something dies. So whenever I see it, I'm running Tapu Lele, and I see a Toxapex on the opponent's team, I'm like, I'm going to abuse this so badly. Every time that Toxapex is out, Tapu Lele comes in, I'm going to try and get a free kill with it. So that's very, very nice. As I said, most of the time you'll be clicking Psyshock. Shadow Ball allows you to take on other Tapu Leles and other bulky Psychic types, that might not be taking too much from Psyshocks from there. Moonblast because of an alternate stab, and then Focus Blast for any steel type move, steel types and stuff like that. The next check that we got here is Circuitry. This can either be Life Orb or it can be Choice Scarf or something like that. Now the main reason it's below these two is because these two don't care about Scald that much, whereas Circuitry actually takes a decent-ish chunk from a Scald, so you don't really want to be switching it in all the time. And there's always, every team has always got a electricity immunity, and especially if you've got Toxapex, you got an electricity immunity. So you just have to play a little bit clever with Circuitry. But if you do, then basically you get, you can switch into Toxapex, take a Scald, or potentially catch it on a recover, or something like that. You're also weak to Toxic Spikes as well, so you have to watch out for that. And then you can, if you've got rid of their electric counter, great. You just click the Volt Switch, and you'll be doing a ton of damage if it decides to stay in from there. Next up, we got Landorus. Landorus is nice because it guarantees Oko's Toxapex, which is absolutely beautiful with that Earth Power, because it's Sheer Force boosted, super effective with that base 115 special attack, which is very nice. The downside with this guy, you can't really switch it into a Scald. Like, you can, well, you can, but you're gonna be taking a good amount of damage, and if it's got a ground immunity, then it's gonna be switching into that anyway. So you basically just have to be very, very careful with Landorus. But if you can get a chance to bring it in, and it's gonna be doing a lot of work and a lot of damage to your opponent, especially if they decide to stay in with Toxapex, thinking somehow they can take it, even though they never will. So that's pretty neat from there. Next, we've got Tapu Bulu. Tapu Bulu is the same sort of line as Lando, where it doesn't really want to switch into a Scald, just in case, because otherwise you're in a spot of bother if you get burnt, because then you're not going to be doing as much damage as you want. Now, there's two ways you can go about this. You can either go down this route with Tapu Bulu with the Choice Band, which Woodhammer does 84 to 104% to a max physically defensive Toxapex. So I think with the spread here, the more sort of balanced spread, you're probably going to be guaranteed Okoing with Woodhammer, which is absolutely insane and really, really nice. There's very few switch-ins to a Woodhammer as well, so you can really put the pressure on teams, and basically they've got to decide, do they sack off Toxapex or do they sack off a different mon from there? And that's what you're going to be clicking. You can also run the Spadef set, because the Spadef set does not care about Scalds. I haven't got this set exactly here. Let's see if I've got an example. I think this one's the example set. Here you go. So this guy sets up a free sub, and then you can start leech seeding their team and things like that. So you obviously want to get a free switch with this guy to be able to do that, but it's it's still a very, very nice way to put the pressure on their team and basically punish them for having Toxapex out. That's the whole point. You want Toxapex is fantastic right now, but you can pack so many different ways to punish them for having it, and punishing them even more if they over-rely on it. If they rely on it, for example, to switch into Pheromosa each time that you're clicking U-turn, it doesn't matter if they're handling Pheromosa, because you're just going to go straight out, go into your counter, and something's going to die from there. So that's pretty much my my top 5 from there. Do let me know, guys, what you think about these. What other Pokemon can abuse Toxapex basically and put a lot of pressure on it, and just it always makes you happy when you manage to kill a Toxapex. But anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode. If you did, don't forget to leave a like. I would really appreciate it, and I will see you guys at the next one. Macadii out.